Welcome. My name is Steve Dubin. I am the host of South Shore Senior News' podcast, My Generation. We provide podcast information to seniors and the sandwich generation, as well as those service providers who help seniors. If you know of someone who would be a great guest, please contact me at the South Shore Seniors News website. It's easy enough to find if you Google it. Today, our guest is Marcia Mantell. Marcia has written 3 books, including Cooking Up Your Retirement Plan, Retirement Planning for Women, and Social Security for Women. Marcia is based in Plymouth Center, but travels the U.S., providing useful information to both seniors, in particular women, and the financial community who she coaches on having better communication about these topics. And with that, I bring you on, Marcia. Welcome.
Steve, thank you so much for inviting me on. I love doing things close to home, and you nailed it. That's exactly what I do. Try to
Okay.
help people understand what retirement and this aging thing is going to be.
Well, so today we're going to talk really about women and Social Security. So the first question, I immediately go rogue and ask you a question that was not on the list, which is,
I love it.
what is the future of Social Security? There's that sort of vague fear of the Cold War, the nuclear attacks, the removal of Social Security. What are your thoughts on that?
Are very strong, not only feelings, but facts. And that is Social Security is not going bankrupt. I know that's the headline everybody reads. It should start again late this month. It's Women's History Month, as you know, Steve, which is part of why we wanted to talk now. But we're all going to read that as soon as the new Social Security report, the annual report comes out, and they show that the trust fund, that is what the media calls it, but it's the reserve account or the savings account, is going to run by somewhere in the mid 2030s, like it's news. It's not news. We've known since 1983. Come on, this is not anything we need to get excited about. What we do need to get excited about is that we have a Congress that is not working well together. How's that for politically correct? And they do need to take some action to update the law. Social Security is a great big law, and they need to make it so that our seniors all stay whole. They get the check that they're supposed to get every month on the Wednesday when it's supposed to be deposited. So Congress has some work, and they're running out of runway.
And politically, it's just suicide to mess with
Did
Social Security.
I heard somebody say the other day, "Oh my gosh, if Congress thinks they're going to try to take away anything from our seniors, the March on Washington with all the gray hair, the white hair, the walkers, the canes, the wheelchairs will be unlike anything the Congress has ever seen." So I leave you with that image. No,
Okay, right.
it's not going to happen. Anything to happen to Social Security.
Okay, very good. And um, so, given the fact that seniors vote, they vote en masse, they vote in larger blocks than any other age group. Part of what you talk about is the shift of demographics of aging. And maybe you could talk a little bit about that, of how we are graying faster than ever.
Yeah, this is really fascinating. I find it completely fascinating, especially for women. So sorry, Steve. Um, but your wife might enjoy this bit that we'll talk about. Yeah, we are, for the first time ever in America, hitting 2 massive landmark years. The first is 2029, the end of this decade. And that's when all of us baby boomers will be 65 and older. So finally, our youngest baby boomers, my sister's a 1964 baby. She turned 65 in 2029. So the last of the lagging edge will all be, quote, retirement age. So that's a big marker, as is 2030. And 2030 is important because this is what we're calling, the demographers are calling, the crossover year. And this is when America, coast to coast, north to south, we will have more 65 plus people than those under 65. That has never in history since Cro-Magnon era has ever happened. And not only will we have more 65-year-olds in this graying of America, I'll stop coloring my hair when I'm 65, but not until then. This whole graying that's happening, it's fascinating because it's not the same for men and women. So women are going to be around longer. And I've got some, I just think they're fun numbers. In 2030, there should be 40 million of us women who are 65 and older, but only 33 million men. Now, that's not a huge difference when you look coast to coast, right? It's 7 million more women. But when you get to 65, for every year you live longer, you actually have the probability of living even longer. So when you get to 85, we have 5.6 million women projected and men only 3.4 million. So we have almost 2 times as many women 85 and older. And the same for the 100-year-olds. We have 2.5 times more women than men. It's not a huge number. It's a couple 100,000 people overall. But we see this gap between women who survive longer on average, it's not a guarantee, than the men. So women live long and will be
Well,
old.
what's not astounding now is to see very active, um, very involved 90-year-olds and beyond. And I recently was watching a video clip of a local woman celebrating her 110th birthday, walked in
Yeah,
on her own and was the queen of the day and held court. Um,
I
and I
love
will
it.
say my wife's aunts and mother lived into their early hundreds or late 90s, and she can't wait to celebrate her time of independence without me. So, but that leads me to, we're looking at longer retirements for women, obviously.
Yeah.
How does Social Security fit into that?
Yeah. Social Security, really for just about everyone, is their most important bottom layer of the layer cake, part of their retirement income. So, when you stop working, you still have to pay all the bills. And you're right, we're much more active, right? Out on the pickleball. I've never seen more pickleball courts go up faster ever. It was a sport not even heard of like 20 years ago. So it's a phenomenon that only the boomers can bring to the party. So you go on that pickleball court. So what's happening is Social Security becomes more important because it has to last longer, which means all of us, men and women, singles, divorced, married couples, widows or widowers, we all have to make even smarter decisions about when to claim this base cake layer. I look at it, all of our income is in layers. So you have Social Security on the bottom, and then pension if you have it. And then you start to use your own assets. It might be work, it might be part-time work, it might be drawing from your portfolio, but you have to construct your layer cake. And if that bottom layer is not thick and holding up the rest of the layers, you're going to be in a world of hurt come old age. So we have to learn more, even though we don't want to. I know we don't want to budget and we don't want to learn that Social Security is a series of calculations, but it is, and we do. We need to know this so that not only, I look at this lens mainly from the woman's perspective because I might know a thing or two about being a woman, but I also look at it for being a wife. And the husbands have an incredibly important role to play here when they choose when they're going to claim their benefit, because it doesn't just affect him, it affects together the married couple, their household income while they're both alive. And if he claims early, she gets the smallest amount of survivor income that she could have. Well, when you're living till 85 and 95 and 105, less is not good. We really need more. We need more income from Social Security. Medicare continues to increase. how much Part B premiums are. That comes right out of your Social Security check. So inflation is not meant to completely keep up with the prevailing prices of the day, but overall, your Social Security check goes up every year. That's not the amount you want it to go up. So anyway, we have a lot of these competing pieces to the decision, and we have to get smarter about making the decision, because once you make it, you're done. That's it. It's a lock.
And so, who do you point to help you make that decision? In addition to reading your books and sort of trying to get your head wrapped around it, are there people or places that people can go to get a better understanding?
Yeah, the first place everybody wants to go is their Social Security statement. So if you have not yet claimed Social Security, go on to ssa.gov, that's Social Security's website, set up your My Social Security account, and get your statement. Like, it's served up to us on a platter, Steve. All we have to do is walk into the restaurant, and it's there. So our own history is there. If you're married, your husband's or your wife's history is there. And that's where it all starts. How much are you even going to get? And how much do you get at the different claiming ages? From 62 to 70 are the claiming ages. But I'll tell you, you don't want to be anywhere near 62, 63, 64, 65 even. You want to wait until full retirement age, which in general, for the younger boomers, it's 67. It might be 66 in 6 months or 66 in 8 months, but it's 67. If you can wait longer, even better. But the people who can wait longer are the ones who continue to work. So if you're going to continue to work, you don't need Social Security. Don't touch it. Let it grow. You get 8% per year more for the years you can wait after your full retirement age up to age 70. So there's some bonus money in there. And I think people don't necessarily put the dollar amounts around that, but it can be a lot. And again, as that inflation factor gets put on the COLA, we call it cost of living adjustment, as that gets applied every year, it is always better to have a larger base amount upon which these COLAs will build than a smaller amount.
Okay. And then just to press a little bit, if they needed to talk to an individual, they are a
Yes.
verbal learner.
Yeah, that's a good question. You still need your statement, and you're going to take it to see your financial advisor. Some financial advisors are quite savvy in Social Security and claiming strategies and how it fits in with your overall plan for creating income in retirement. Others, not so much. So you need to find a financial advisor who is an expert in retirement and retirement income. And don't be afraid to ask. I mean, if you don't have a financial advisor today, call around. Ask. You can do people local with Zoom now. You can go further if you're comfortable working online. So there are financial advisors, or even just Google financial advisors, retirement experts, or retirement income experts. That would be a good key phrase to look around for. I do some individual one-on-ones, but it's generally with an advisor, only because my bandwidth is not all that big. But if you're really in a bind and need information about retirement benefits, not disability benefits, that's a whole extra specialty that you need an attorney who works specifically with disabled. Unfortunately, you have to pay for that. So go forth and pay for that. You also have to pay to talk to me, but I'm not as expensive as an attorney. But I also just don't have all that much time. But
Okay.
you can always call and I can try to direct you somewhere.
And if they were to reach out to a financial planner or advisor, are there special initials at the end of that, person's name that you recommend that advisor have?
Yeah, the RMA, Retirement Management Advisor, is the designation I have. That's very good. We do a lot with Social Security. There's another designation called the RICP. I don't remember what it stands for, but it's Retirement Income something something. CFPs, the Certified Financial Planners, folks who spend more of their time in the planning phase tend to be better at helping with Social Security than an investment advisor whose real job is to, pick good investments for you to grow your nest egg. Those are two very different skills. So those are the three I would try. RICP, I'm sure I'm forgetting one, RMA, and CFP.
Okay, great. That's good information. And so let me get back to sort of the segments of population that need to start thinking about Social Security long term. What about younger folks, boomers, and I'm sorry, not boomers, but Gen Xers and others who are younger and have a longer ramp up?
Yeah, the generations are all so different. They're all fascinating. There's some common themes that I've seen with the Gen X. So they're just 1 year behind the boomers. It's not like these are young people. They turned, a lot of them turned 65 in 2030. So the Gen Xers, the millennials, my kids are millennial kids, and the Gen Z. All of these folks, what they have in common regarding Social Security is most of them, and by most I mean 75% of them, don't think Social Security will be there for them. And I look at that and first hit my head against the wall. But then I ask them, and I have a lot of millennials in my life since that is my kids' generation, and they're adamant. Like, oh my God, it's not going to be there. It's like, okay, well, fine. If that's what you think, first of all, you're wrong. Second of all, what are you doing about it? And I get the head snap, right? It's like, well, what do you mean? It's like, well, if you think the foundation of income, which for people, I mean, it's going to be $4,000 a month for these younger people if they have a pretty good limit earnings history. Where are you going to get $4,000 a month? That's $48,000 a year, right? If I did my math right. Um, where are you going to get it? Are you going to keep working till you're 90? Let me assure you, no employer is going to hire you when you're 85. Okay? That's just not going to happen. So there's just this level of unrealisticness to how you can't possibly save enough on your own for 99.9% of Americans, which goes back to the history of Social Security. It's why we had it in the first place. There was recognition back in the very early 1900s that said, oh my goodness, we can't have a burgeoning demographic growing older and expect them to be able to save on their own for retirement, hence insurance. And Social Security is actually an insurance benefit. That's what it does. It's guaranteeing us to have some modest safety net income in case we're the ones to live a long time. And it turns out the boomers, followed by the Gen Xers and the millennials and the Gen Zs, we're going to live a long time.
So, well, and so what are some of the sort of classic mistakes that people do make about Social Security?
Yeah, the big one is believing the headlines without reading the article. So that's probably my favorite mistake. Do not get excited when you see Social Security is going bankrupt. Read the article. Usually the content is pretty good. The headline's wrong, but it's supposed to grab you in. Claiming too early, and especially with no regard. They have no idea that claiming early has locked their income into the least amounts they can get from this important source. So that's a big one. Another really big one with women are divorced women who have not remarried. They don't know that in many cases they can get more from Social Security by claiming on their ex-husband. That's not that's not a headliner. And the other big mistake happens when you're a widow or widower. If you lose your spouse between 60 and 70, there's a strategy you have to figure out. And again, that's the kind of thing, the calls I get a lot of times. Social Security can't help you, the Social Security office, but your financial advisor, somebody like me, can help with what do you do between, and it's only that 1 10-year period between 60 and 70 to lay out which benefit are you entitled to, survivor benefit or your own, how much will it be, and when should you switch? So we have to pick as a starting point and an ending point because that's the time you get to switch. And that's the only time. So these are really complicated rules, Steve. They are not for normal, wonderful, everyday people. And it's the kind of thing, if you can't file your own taxes, you can't figure out Social Security or Medicare either. I mean, all those things go in the same clump.
Right. Okay. Um, and then given the fact that women need to think about beyond Social Security, what are some of the things that you recommend that they add to that conversation?
Oh, that's a great question. There are many things. What I would start with, if you're not feeling financially savvy, start learning. The money piece is only going to be more and more frustrating as you get older, and the world is moving really fast. This whole situation with AI and the technology that's happening, it's happening in the financial world as well. This is really big deal stuff. Don't worry about that stuff. But my point is the world is moving faster than all of us boomers can keep up for the most part. Learn about money, how it works, how investments work. That means you're going to have to take away some of your Facebook time or your TV time and start to read and learn about money because we have to be smarter. Talk to your husband if you have a husband. Now, don't take this personally, Steve, but a lot of times guys are very confident in their knowledge about investment things, and they're not always spot on, shall we say. So the women really need to get in the game. That's what I let them know. Get in the game, plan for the party and the price tag. You can't just be out there willy-nilly spending and have no idea where the money's coming from and what the consequences are.
Okay. All right. Well, I think that sort of brings us to the end of our conversation. And I want to make it clear as to how to reach you or get more information from you. What's the best way to contact you?
Oh, well, thank you for asking. I have a website called boomerretirementbriefs.com. And I post out there a lot of monthly blog posts on these kinds of topics, along with Medicare and what boomers are doing for retirement and such. All the content, all the worksheets, all the checklists are all free. You can just go to boomerretirementbriefs, all one word, .com, and you'll get some fun info. So what the other boomers are doing.
Well, Marcia, thank you very much. I appreciate having you as a guest and enjoyed the conversation. And I will even take some of your good advice and pass it on to not only my female friends, but my male friends as well.
Thank you, Steve. Thanks for inviting me on.